You should be good to go.
All right. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's 8:32 and this is the Mayor Manager meeting, and on the team's phone is Linda Olson, Allison McKinney-Brown, Dorothy Hargrove, Jay Truscott-Reed, Nathaniel Sierra, and Shawn Lewis.
Good morning. Wanted to get started with May 11th. So the study session is going to have 3 items. We'll have preliminary review of the 2021-2025 CIP, major capital requests. We'll also have the item that you all discussed last night, the election of the mayor charter amendment process, and then a COVID-19 update. Any questions on this?
Sounds good. I think that'll be, so do you know how long each one of these you expect to be? And
well, the CIP will probably be pretty long. I think with Planning Commission, it took us, I mean, it was close to 2 hours.
okay, so should we put 2 hours down for it so that people have some idea that this could take some time?
Yes, and I'll double check that with Maria Sabata, because it's possible we were going into more detail with Planning Commission, but I don't think so.
Okay.
And then Allison, what do you think on the charter amendment process?
You know, it really comes down to the number of questions the council is going to have. So I would put it down, and we're not going to get specifically into questions about the mayor and all of that. It's just the charter amendment process. So I would put it at 20 minutes.
Oh, it'll go longer than that if we start talking about pros and cons with whether we do the mayor thing, don't you think?
I agree. Yeah, I think this might go 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, because I mean, you're gonna, so Allison, you're going to cover the charter stuff, and then from that we'll know what it takes to actually do the mayor's sort of thing on the ballot, right? I mean, will that be enough for us to do that, or could you give us direction on, not direction, but information on what the next steps would be should we want to make a change in something like that, and how much money it would cost in terms of outside counsel, that kind of a thing? Because that I didn't bring up last night, which is I think it needs to be pretty honest about what we're doing.
Yes. Yes, I certainly can. I think what I'll put in the memo, though, is going to be just the process to the most degree. But I agree with you. I think the majority of this is not going to be discussion with me. I think it's going to be discussion amongst yourselves about where you want to move forward. So,
yeah. So 45 minutes.
Yeah, let's go 45 minutes. I'll go back into mute mode.
What's that?
It's my dog.
Oh.
She wants to go outside.
Someone else's dog this time.
She's getting used to coffee breaks in the morning outside on the patio, so it'd be too loud if I sat out there during this.
All right, are we ready to go on to the 18th?
We are.
Let's start with, so are these back to back? Oh no, this is the first part of the May 18th meeting is a study session. We have 3 items. Body cams for police, the procurement policy, and the lodger's sales tax increase. I know Maria Sabata is going to reach out to John Stone today about procurement because Dorothy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she would like to push that back a couple of meetings.
Yeah, she suggested at least until June 1st. Given the details that he would like us to explore, she needs a little more time to do the research.
That's
So
that's really consistent with what he called me yesterday and said that he would definitely felt like it probably should be pushed off, and he wasn't pushing to get it done soon. So I think I think that's fine. If that's what we need to do it right, let's do it that way.
Yeah, that would be better, I think.
Great, thank you. And then we also have, starting on the regular part of the agenda, the pre-development agreement with SKB that you heard about last night. contract approval for water treatment plant and risk and resiliency study. And then award of construction contract to precision concrete cutting for sidewalk trip hazard elimination project. First reading of a mutual aid agreement between Arapahoe County Public Safety Answering Points. And then approval of intergovernmental agreement with CDOT for reconstruction of the 285 Broadway Exchange. And first reading of an IGA with Mile High Flood District for major drainage planning for the city of Inglewood. Tentative second reading for the gas recovery facility permanent easement.
That can go under consent. That was a 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
So was the IGA with CDOT.
Correct.
Great.
Both of those can go under consent.
And then we have a second reading of the IGA. Oh, well, that's the next one that you just said. So for the Oxford Ped Bridge. And then of course the COVID-19 update. All right, if no other questions, May 26th study session, we'll have a financial review. So that will tell us the news on April. And city council budget workshop, which will be about 3 hours with all departments, and then your COVID-19 update.
Could you Jade, could you put 3 hours next to that one, so when council, if they do take a look at this, and on a whim, that they realize that is going to be.
I do have 3 hours on the sheet on my side. Under the city council workshop, I do have that already there. Are you not able to see next to it, or?
I do see it now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I just wanted to confirm.
Feedback. Are you all hearing?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening. Lots of feedback.
I think I might need to jump. Is that better?
No, you're fine.
Yes, that's better.
Okay.
Jade, was it on Jade's side when she was speaking, or?
I'm not sure. It sounds like it's maybe gone away.
It may be my issue, but I'm glad if it goes away while I'm muted.
Great. All right. June 1st, we have a policy discussion regarding emergency aid to other agencies, police oversight board discussion, and the procurement policy best value. We'll move to that item, or to that meeting rather, and then an update on the homelessness study.
Okay.
Can we get all 4 of those done before a regular meeting? Or if we're doing procurement, should we postpone either the police oversight board or an update on the homelessness study?
So Shawn, we got an email from the research team. Were you on that, saying they need a no-cost extension? And they for quite a while, but they are willing to do an update of what they have so far.
Okay. So would you like to move that to a different meeting?
Let's just leave it there for now. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Let me check on it. I think I might have.
I think you forwarded that to me.
Forwarded it to you, and then forgot to talk to you about it on Friday.
No worries. If we were a little bit concerned about covering all 4 items on June 1st, we could move the homelessness study to June 8th if you wanted.
Sure.
I'm not sure if June 8th would work, as we are at 2 hours with board and commission interviews and have the 2 other items in addition to it. Would June 15 work?
Oh, you're right.
Well, maybe if the regular agenda stays light, we could, it doesn't seem like we've, like last night, we went a little bit over on the study session, but with the fact that we don't have a rigid in-person schedule, is it okay to go a little bit over on these study session items?
I haven't even been thinking 6 to 7.
Yeah.
Probably because it all feels the same. And maybe I should be. Last night I became aware when it was 9:18 though.
Right. Okay, well then we'll just leave that one as is, and
yeah, I'll follow up with them today and you and see what our process should be for them.
Okay. On June 8th.
Devin was on that email too, so he would be the one who would probably initiate that no cost extension stuff.
Okay, great. On June 8th, we have the Downtown Matters and DDA update, an update on Title 16, community outreach. That'll be our responses that we've gotten from our RFP to do that outreach. And then board and commission interviews. I thought board and commission interviews, oh, no, that's right.
Board and
Jade.
commission interviews are at 10 minutes apiece for new applicants, and we currently have 12.
Great.
When is the deadline, Jade?
May 11th.
Wow,
Okay,
that's coming up
yeah.
pretty quick.
And yeah, and you sent us some stuff on that too, didn't you, with who?
I believe Jackie did.
Yeah, Jackie did.
Okay,
If there's nothing else on that, we'll go on to June 15th. We have the DDA election ordinance, first reading, and new appointments approved by the city council after the interviews. Skipping down to June 6th, our next items will have the new appointments being recognized that night, and then on July 20th, so the second reading of the DDA election ordinance.
wow, that's gonna come fast. Looks good.
For this future study session items, and I've reached out to Chris Hargett about Councilmember Wink's question about a website overview. And so, but I did certainly want to just ask you guys where you want to put that, if it's on future or what that looks like.
Yeah, we didn't really ask everybody if they wanted it on. We're all using the website. So what is it? Where are we in the process with it? Maybe that would be more important, because if there's time to give feedback and we need to do it sooner than later.
I think it's an ongoing process. I mean, they've got a lot of work to do. I'm not quite sure that there's a deadline involved.
Okay. It's not like we're going to unveil a brand new website or something, right?
No.
They're just creating new efficiencies and structure.
That's my understanding, yes.
Probably more than that, probably the look of it too.
Yeah. But taking guidance on that is, council wants to weigh in anytime. It's fine.
There was a routine that we had, and it was very short-lived, so it's not like it went on for very long. We did have a communication department update every month or two for a little while. That was just helpful to know what was going on with communication. This would fall under that, I think, right? Or maybe IT, but really it's about communicating and access to information. Maybe we.
Yeah, I mean, we could make it a little bit broader in that regard, if you like.
But I don't want to. I mean, I was just thinking of a way to always keep this going, so we had input. But I think she was asking a very specific question, which is good. So where would we see that fitting in? And we can ask next week. Is everybody okay with us bringing this one on and putting it on the schedule? But we could tentatively put it somewhere. I'm sure everybody will want it. So.
Yeah, probably sometime in. Yeah, thank you, Jade. Maybe the June 15th study session. So, I don't know if you heard me. The June 15th study session, would that work?
Sounds good.
We also had a request from at least two council members last night, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Stone, to talk about utility funds and lending from general fund of 10%. I'm not sure if everyone wants to discuss that, but including that sooner rather than later in terms of budget discussion is probably wise if council wants to pursue it.
Yeah, I think I'd be strongly in favor of doing that sooner than later as well. Fanny, I don't know what you think, but especially an update on utility, what do we call it? Sort of a a fund. Shawn, you've set up something, I think, right, to help people who are in need, sort of an assistance utility fund as well. Is that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things. Number one, we talked about two things that are, I think, very related. One is that transfer from the general fund to the utility funds to help offset, some rate increase amount. What Joe and Maria happened to both independently zero in on is the fact that we could use that part of that general fund transfer as a utility bill assistance grant program, for people who need help with that. So as you may recall, our rate and fee study analysis folks, Stantec, are putting that together now in terms of looking at best practices in other cities and states about how, really good utility bill assistance programs work. So
Yeah.
I think both of those topics kind of as an A and B would be really good to talk about.
Excellent and timely. And so why don't we just put it in where you think makes sense? Because if we have to decide as a council how we go forward on it, let's do it within the budget cycle that you need us to do it. And I think that information of, that study, I'm not sure everybody's realized that's something y'all are doing of utility assistance fund.
Yeah, that works for me, what Jade just did, the utility funds overview, putting that on May 26th. I just need to double check with Maria and Peter to make sure we can accommodate that schedule. It's a little aggressive, but I might be.
The only reason why I suggest there is because of the budget workshop and all other budget things that are happening that night, but we do have an opening on June 15th as well.
I would separate those topics. I think it would get confusing to include the utility funds with the departmental requests.
Yeah, that could be true.
I mean, they're both important, but they are separate topics.
Mm-hmm.
I think so too. So he was talking about it sort of, did I use the right term, the SURF fund, as some kind of a rotational?
Yeah, I think he was just, making a comparison there between what it could be, but I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
All right, so it looks like we'll tentatively put that on the 15th. I can check with Maria and Peter. Actually, Dorothy, if you don't mind checking with Maria, since that's in your area, and see if that's possible and let her know that date. All right, what else?
I'm looking for any other.
That was all I wrote down for last night.
Yeah, I think I covered it on mine too. Anybody else have?
Well, just the fact that we probably had to come back and pick up the public comment conversation.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah, thanks for remembering that. Yeah, so
and I wrote down there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items that basically would be that we could vote on in a sense, whether or not we wanted to move forward, like the time limit, scheduled versus unscheduled, agenda versus non-agenda, where we could do a poll or however we decide to move forward. But I agree with John that there's some low-hanging fruit that.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if we should put this in a grid. I have a bunch on listed too. Nathaniel, if we combine all of ours.
I'll send you an email. Yeah, I'll send you and Shawn, copy Shawn on an email on what I wrote down as the main topics that we could discuss.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll send that out pretty quickly.
I mean, I get that we don't want to. I misspoke last night in terms of anonymous.
Right.
I was thinking more of just. I think I was thinking of a Google Doc in my mind because I've been on Google all day yesterday doing things and just adding comments from people of like, if we had this grid, pros and cons to each to add in. But we haven't really ever worked like that before, but it would all be public.
And that could be, and that could be part of the council communication, or at least the agenda item that says these were the 8 items that the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem came up with, or
Yeah.
out of the discussion that came from the 4th.
Yeah, let's try it. And you can have a pro and a con to it. And so everybody can put in, some of their comments about it, because so there's some good ideas, but there's also some real drawbacks if we do it. I mean, I thought it was the idea of having citizens come up during every item. There is something about that specificity. However, I do think it'll make it really long, and I am worried about having too few people all the time doing things. So it's a nature of all councils. It's not just ours. It's everybody has just, but that we shouldn't, don't want to limit people's ability to give us feedback, that's for sure, but just want to organize it in a way that makes sense for our meeting. So yeah, let's see if we can come up with some kind of a grid. And then where would we?
Do we put it on the 18th or are we going to put it on the 11th? I'm not hearing anything, so I'm wondering if everybody's on mute or if you guys don't like my ideas of the 11th or the 18th.
Can you hear me?
I think
I
we
can
were
hear you
just deferring to you guys.
So I wonder, we can move this a little bit out. I mean, well, let me ask you another question before we. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything right now while we're on Zoom.
Right.
I mean, just keep it the way it is. So maybe we don't have to do it so quickly because we may not be back, face to face for another month. So maybe make it later May. If something changes and we're all back, then maybe we do it face to face. But I think it's too soon to do it May 11th, 18th.
Would June 8th potentially work? It is with the interviews. There is a lot on there. I apologize.
Can you scroll back a bit? What does, yeah, it's just that May 18th has a lot on it, right? What is May, so.
Wait, can we go back to the 18th?
Maybe it's not that bad. Do you think body cams and lodger's tax is going to take that long?
I don't think lodger sales tax, that's just going over the wording is right. The wording for
no, and we don't get to wordsmith on that stuff because of some restrictions in state law. Basically, it's just there's several questions that still need to be answered, and I wouldn't take lodger sales tax or anything less than 20 minutes. I just think there's going to be a lot of questions, and at that point we have to have council land on answers.
Okay.
How long do you think body cams will go, Shawn? Or Allison and probably both of you are working on it, huh?
I think the big question with body cams is, I think the big thing with body cams is just reminding council that there are two elements. One, there is an expense associated with all of the maintenance for Cora purposes, and most other cities who run body cams are also having to hire people to manage all of that information. So I think that there's a finance discussion about that at association with Cora wanting body cams. I think everybody wants body cams. It's just the associated expenses. So I think that would run a minimum of 20 minutes.
Okay.
I would give it longer than that, but half an hour at least.
So on that topic, what could you and Chief bring to us? Would it be some overview of what other cities have and what their budgets are for that, or how many staff are related to it and what kind of IT system they need for it? Because it is a larger question, we know, a larger issue.
I think it's all of those things you just mentioned.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, the last time we talked about this, that was all the same kind of stuff. I don't remember if we had any kind of detail about other cities. using it, and I think we all just looked at it and just said, oh my gosh. We couldn't handle the finances at the time because we were trying to actually hire more police, and we just thought, well, it was a difference. Yeah, I don't remember. It was quite a while ago we talked about it. It's probably early 2010, 11 or something.
You've had a conversation about it since I've been here. So there's been discussion in the last 3 years on it. I think there was a discussion in 2017.
Yeah, I think you're right. There has been discussions. I think someone said we haven't talked about it ever, but we have. But I think it's fine to keep bringing it up. We got to make sure we might be ready this time. Who knows? So I guess I'm asking to know whether it will be enough information to give us some really clear view of this is what the decisions are. You think you can do that by May 11th?
Because we do have a recent memo on this, and it was now 2 weeks ago, I guess, that I asked John and his team to brush that off, update it, and yeah, get some additional information about the bond premium that question was asked. So I think we can be ready. Jade,
Okay.
we might not quite hit the city clerk's deadlines, but we'll have it ready to be in the packet.
Sorry, I can't find anything on here to mute my dog.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it.
I do have public comment on the 18th. Are we still okay with this in addition to the 2 items?
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
we can revisit that if it looks like something else comes up, but let's leave it there.
So then the next step. Sorry, Jade. I think I get feedback when
Oh, sorry, 1 second.
on mute. Okay, so I think the next step with the public comment is Linda and Shawn. I'll send you guys my 8 items. We'll consolidate those based off Linda's feedback, and then we will send out a Google poll or whatever those things are called.
Google Doc or?
Oh, well, we usually use SurveyMonkey.
SurveyMonkey, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And it will not be anonymous, just to make sure.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah.
No, that's good. Okay, so I'll send that off here within the next 10-15 minutes.
Sounds good.
Great. I won't be responding after that in the next 10 minutes after.
There you go.
It's quick.
And Nathaniel, if you don't mind sending that to Dorothy, she's putting together that questionnaire. I had asked her to do that last night, so it would help her to have your notes.
Okay, I'll
Great,
copy
thank
Dorothy as well.
Super.
I have an additional topic.
Yeah.
So I received an email from Inglewood Housing Authority wanting an executive session, and I don't know for what purpose. I have no idea at this point. I'll follow up with Jerry Graver. But it brought up the more general issue of how we're going to be handling executive sessions, and I've been advising if we can avoid them at all costs, let's avoid them at all costs. Right at the moment, Safer at Home doesn't let more than 10 people congregate. So I think right at the moment under Safer at Home, it would not be, we could not have an in-person meeting. I don't even think you could get all the city council member and the members of staff under 10. So that's through the end of May, just under Safer at Home. We don't know if Safer at Home will be extended, but even if it's not extended, Governor Polis has been incredibly conservative in how he's reopening the state. So I can't imagine it's going to reopen June 1st with doors wide open, as many people as want to be in a room could be in a room. So, I mean, we're playing guessing games at this point, but I'm wanting both Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem to know that just as we're reading the orders and the way the orders have been rolling out, I would be surprised if you're able to have a regular meeting in person, even into June. And at some point, there may be issues that have to be addressed by executive session. Do you want us to look into how that could happen remotely, or do you want us to continue with we just won't have any executive sessions or deal with those matters until we're able to get back in a room.
I think look into it. I know of several jurisdictions that have had to have executive sessions and they've had to do it by Zoom. And I think they may have written up some sort of an agreement that had to be read, that everyone pledged to, that no one else was in the room, that, that kind of thing. I don't know how they're doing it, but.
Aren't we also under, I guess I don't want to throw out solutions, but we would be under 10 people if we were to do it the normal way. How we get into the executive session, I guess, would be my question.
Yeah, if you called a because you can only have executive session as part of a regular, or you can only have an executive session as part of a regular or special meeting. So you'd have to first call the regular special meeting to order, and then you recess into executive session. And yes, you could do that in person, but the fact is you're going to have to post it, and just having the staff in the room with the city clerk, the city attorney, and the city manager, and the people who run the IT to show that we're actually going into and out of the meeting, that puts us over 10 right there. So going into and out of the executive session, I still don't think we can do that in an in-person meeting until the governor lifts the 10 people restriction.
Okay.
Allison, I can tell you, I'll send you where I think they have done some executive sessions, so you can check it out.
Yeah,
I'm sure your attorneys folks have. I'm going on I forgot to mention this last night, but maybe this probably won't happen. CML is doing a webinar today. Did you see that, Nathaniel?
I did not know.
I meant to mention it last night. I had too many.
The reopening one. I've been trying to sign up for it, and it has kicked me off. It tells me I have to update my password.
Oh,
so
really?
If I can get CML to let me register, I'm going to listen in on that, because I think that it's, although we're opening ahead of a lot of the cities, it's interesting to hear how other people are interpreting Safer at Home, because it's so broad, and the general perception is that Safer at Home moved us out of a stay-at-home order, when in fact it really didn't. And so I'm really interested in hearing how other cities are dealing with that.
Yeah, I am too. There's one today, and then I think there's another one on Thursday or Wednesday. I think there's two this week. So one of them's on economics, and the other one's on. So I'll forward. I'm sure Member Wink has gotten them, but I'll forward it to you, Shawn, if you want to send it out to council. It's kind of late for today, but I'm sure they could still register today.
Sure.
All of us should be getting CML stuff, but for a while mine was going to junk mail, but I'm getting them now, thanks to your IT folks. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right. I think it's 9:06, and that ends the mayor manager meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Good to see you,
Bye.
so to speak.